Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I am in the house right now because I have to be available to answer the door for trick-or-treaters. But Dolly is very much alive and well, and we need to tell her story. So let me read to you the real story of Dolly. We already know so much about Dolly. There have been notes about her commitment to Athens Insane Asylum and how she's been found with scissors, and she loves bugs and spiders, and she terrorizes other patients. Sometimes Dolly is so out of control that the staff have to subdue her with moths, which she happens to be afraid of. Dolly has escaped from the institution, and she is very, very scary. She has attacked people. There have been funerals. She has scared people. Everywhere she goes, she leaves devastation. The police cannot find her, and she is out to revisit her childhood home and to get back the people who she thought were not nice to her. There are lobotomy instruments missing from the institution. Dolly did seem like she was going to be a normal child. She has chased people. She has a fascination with Edgar Allan Poe and all of his horrific stories. Now let's read about Dolly. I finally must write the entire story of Dolly. It all began when we were small children in Salem. You see, I have known Dolly from the very beginning, and I witnessed what happened to her in those early years. As Dolly's power of evil grew, my amazement and bewilderment grew in stride. While Salem has a long history told of witches and witchcraft and many witches being put to death, there are many good and unmagical people in Salem. Dolly was born to such a family, born a twin, at which the family was delighted. The twin girls grew normally until their toddler years, when things in the household began to change. Dolly's mother began to find spiders in the house at an alarming frequency. Not only was this startling, but the spiders were quite aggressive. Dolly's mother was bitten on several occasions and had to take to her bed. It was during one of these episodes where Dolly's long, tumultuous journey of change began. Late into the evening, a neighbor heard a horrific screaming from the house where the young twins lived. The police were summoned and were completely unprepared for what they saw. Dolly's mother had been overtaken with spiders. Dolly's father was deceased of unknown causes, and Dolly and her twin were laughing and playing with the spiders. After the twins were removed from the awful mess, the house was left abandoned. The girls lingered in the local orphanage because no one had ever heard of anything so dreadful. After some time, a couple from all the way in Wisconsin, a couple who desperately wanted children, offered to adopt the twins. The staff at the orphanage let the twins go with much relief and many fake smiles. All was well for a little while. Dolly was now 7, and she tried to be good, but sharp scissors and spiders were her favorite toys. It is my belief that her twin kept her in line at times, as much as anyone could keep Dolly in line. By the time the twins were teenagers, their parents hated the day they had adopted them. Their room was constantly damaged, holes in the walls, bed linens cut up. However, the parents dared not say anything. They simply prayed for the day the twins would leave. Oh, and the spiders and bugs of all kinds. It was when Dolly was 17 that the murders began. Dolly was known to lure in strangers, pretend to be in need of something, and then lunge at them while laughing. One year, a trick-or-treater disappeared. Dolly's father died mysteriously in a hunting accident. And then Dolly's mother died. It was the second mother she'd lost. Under the guise of being taken to her own apartment, her own freedom, Dolly was instead shackled and sent to her first asylum. Dolly's twin, a much more composed and settled and reassuring girl, was allowed to go her own way. She did go her own way, that is certain. She began the task of going to college to get her degree. How proud of herself that she was at the top of her class. Dolly's twin followed her story closely. Poor Dolly had caused enough trouble at Sheboygan that she ended up at Athens for experimental treatment. There was not one staff member who was not afraid of Dolly. Finally, when Dolly was in her 20s, Dr. Imelda was hired on staff. Much to the surprise of the other staff, she seemed to have a connection with Dolly. She could tame Dolly, it seemed. It's time for the truth. I, Dr. Imelda, am Dolly's twin. I don't know where my soul lies, on the side of good or of evil. I am afraid of Dolly, but sometimes I think my power is even stronger than hers. I have always protected her, and Dolly has always taken care of me. I knew the only way was to place myself in a position to have the final say. While I am afraid, Dolly has to be free once again.
At this time, I would like to thank my Patreon supporters. Without your help, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, which is have a channel, create content, make journals, and do art full time. Thank you so much for supporting me like you do. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate always your feedback and suggestions. Okay, bye for now.